accommodation. It's driving people into debt. It's forcing people to take their lives. This has to be fixed. But then those that are doing the right thing, they should get paid. They should get their money. Homelessness. We need to get crisis accommodation out there for all victims. Look, women are getting supported, great. We want to support that. There needs to be more support for men. There needs to be support for everyone. Age, gender and sexuality needs to be supported. So what have I got? I've got homelessness, mental health. We want to bring our communities back together. Mental health hubs in our communities needs to be supported. All victims, again, need that support. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. You give that to Emerald Moon. It's your turn.
Before I begin, I did just want to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of this land, the Quandamooka people, pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that their sovereignty was never ceded and we're meeting on stolen land. So, as a 23-year-old woman, fresh out of uni last year, a lot of people might tell me that I'm crazy for standing up here and for even running in this race. But I do it because I genuinely believe that the Greens have policies that will impact, that will positively affect everyday lives, including the lives of people in this room. And that genuine belief has become something of a target or a criticism of me throughout this race. You know, I've been mocked for approaching this with sincerity as a real person instead of just playing the game. Well, the fact is, to me, this is not a game. This is about things that materially affect our everyday lives. It's about not being able to afford a home. It's about leaving uni with dwindling job options and rising costs of living. It's about having to choose between putting food on the table or seeing a dentist. It's overcrowded hospitals and impossibly high energy bills. As a woman in particular, it's having to choose between furthering my career or starting a family because my income isn't high enough to cover the costs of childcare. You know, we've been let down by unfeeling, uncaring politicians for so long that a lot of us no longer see politics as an avenue for positive change. And anyone who dares to talk about or care about these issues is an anomaly. But I'm not going to stop doing it because I know that we can tackle these issues. I know that because the Greens have a fully costed, comprehensive plan to tackle these problems. I know that we can cover dental under Medicare. We can create 180,000 new jobs with a planned transition to 100% renewables. We can lower power bills with a publicly owned energy retailer. We can have a publicly owned bank that works for the community. We can have free TAFE and uni again. We can raise New Start and youth allowance. We can build 500,000 affordable, sustainable community homes. We can, the list, God, I've got a long list here, but we can fix the broken environmental laws that let the Toondah Harbour development get this far. We can scrap politicians' pensions and we can ban the corporate political donations corrupting our democracy. We can fix our broken political system, but we need a grassroots, people-powered movement, and that is the Greens, and I will work for you, not just the wealthy few. Thank you.
Thank you, Emerald. Mr. Clark, step up to the spot. You get a big hand for Shane Clark, please.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks for the political agitator, the whole 9 yards. Look, you've seen the adverts, you know what's going on, you know what the problem is with the country, you know how we can fix it. The United Australia Party has the policies in place. We're going to increase pensions by $150 a week for every pensioner. We can do that. We'll get the benefits back. We'll do zonal taxation for businesses outside of the city area up to 200 Ks. We'll scrap the provisional taxation in businesses and make it a due date process instead. That gets money flowing back into the community. We're going to do tax deductions on home loans on the interest up to $10,000. So everyone will get money back in their pockets in that, go out and spend it. So we're generating income and building the GDP of our country at the base level because we run the economy of the country, not the corporations. Electricity prices, they don't tell you how or why it's so high. It's the network charges, not the production of it. We can fix that. We do write-downs of the loans because we're getting charged up to 10%. Ask Andrew, he's been in Parliament so long. Ask him why the electricity price is so high. He won't tell you the truth, I don't know. You can ask him.
Stick to your own party, please.
Yeah, okay. Bring mineral processing back into Australia. Make it happen here instead of sending it off to Malaysia, China, Japan. If we get the income on that, and that can go back into the economy, that can help do our schools, our the schools, hospitals, and all that, the funding, the infrastructure, all that sort of stuff. Use the trillions of dollars in the industry super funds or any other super funds that want to invest the money back in Australia and send it instead of sending it out offshore to like Wall Street, Japan, Europe. Build the processing plants here in South Australia and Victoria and create jobs here for our people and sell our minerals for up to $15,000 a tonne and get us that money back, right? Look, it's not the Liberal way, it's not the Labor way, it's our way. You know what the problem is with your country, with our country here. You know what the problem is. I don't need to bang on about it. United Australia Party, we're all candidates here for the whole party. Will look after the country as it should be. For the people, our sovereignty, let's protect it. No more foreign influences. If we get in, we will have a Senate inquiry into political processes in our country from foreign powers. Get rid of it. Let's get them out. This is our country, it's not theirs. I can't go to China and buy a port.
10 seconds, Shane.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. You know where we stand. You've seen the adverts. Give us a back, guys. You might be surprised, all right? Thank you.
Thank you. Carme? Could we save questions, comments for the end, please? Can I get a round of applause for Carme?
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. I'm Carme Kelly, lead Senate candidate for the Animal Justice Party. Tonight I want to discuss briefly some policies and topics that the other parties will not discuss unless pushed to. These are vitally important issues that I don't believe can be ignored any longer. So the first issue that is yet to be fixed despite repeated inquiries and shocking footage since at least the 1980s. Live animal export is a crime against animals. The Animal Justice Party is the only party we can trust to end all live export for all animals, not just the sheep. 3 out of 4 Australians are against live export, and rightly so. The footage we've seen in 2011 and again only last year has been horrific and an embarrassment to this country. We should be supporting our growers, who are the hardest working and toughest Australians around. Our horticultural exports are 3 times larger than our animal live exports. So if I have the honour of being elected to the Senate, my first priority will be to introduce a bill to end all live animal export and to push for an inquiry into invest into Aussie growers. Thank you. Climate change, which we should really be calling climate emergency, is now listed as a top priority for voters, so it's their major concern. My concern is that we're being led to believe only that we need to switch to renewables and maybe stop Adani. We must first acknowledge that 93% of land clearing here in Queensland is due to animal agriculture. Previously, the rates of deforestation here in Queensland alone have been enough to completely wipe out any attempts to control greenhouse gas emissions. Not to mention, when we lose habitat, our precious wildlife becomes exponentially more at risk to the effects of climate change and other environmental pressures. Animal agriculture produces methane, which is a lesser known greenhouse gas and is many times more potent than carbon. While we must stop Adani and we must switch to clean energy as soon as possible, let me be very clear when I say that the Animal Justice Party is the only political party in Australia who have policies which genuinely address the issue in its entirety. My third often neglected issue is the pandemic of domestic violence. Current policies neglect the links between family violence and animal cruelty. of which I've seen firsthand as an investigator for the RSPCA and sitting on 2 DV organisations. Approximately 60% of victims stay in an abusive situation as they don't want to leave their animals behind.
10 seconds.
Geez, that's quick. Okay. Yes. So policies on domestic violence and the link between animals, it's something that can't be ignored with the amount of money the government's putting into it. Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Brandon. Get a round of applause for Brandon Selleck, please.
Good evening all. Thank you all for coming. Pirate Party is a weird name, I know. We started as a copyright law reform party about 10 years ago in South Australia. We've since become a party that is about protecting your online privacy, digital rights and your civil liberties. We have a large suite of policies now that cover pretty much everything that's already been discussed here. I personally introduced our party's domestic violence policies, and so I've worked in family law and domestic violence spaces for the last 10 years, and also our prison reform policy. I think we're one of the few parties that actually has a prison reform party in this country. So, for example, we would be blocking private ownership of prisons, because that's certainly not going to help anyone. Thank you. We also have environmental policies. We will be looking at stopping projects like Adani, but we understand miners need work. That we will be looking at programs like reopening the TAFE colleges, retraining miners, putting them on projects where they can work, where they can earn money that will also help the country and the environment. There's an excellent project west of Townsville at the moment, a hydroelectric plant, which is built on the remains of an old gold mine. Projects like that will help with our power problems in this state and in the country, and also help with our employment problems that we have as well. Thank you. I could rattle on for more than 3 minutes about the various policies we have, so I'll just leave it open to the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brandon. Lyle, would you step up, please? Big round of applause for Lyle Shelton.
Well, thanks very much, Damien, and thanks everyone for coming out tonight. My name's Lyle Shelton. I'm the lead Senate candidate for Cory Bernardi's Australian Conservatives, and I'm here tonight with my running mate, Jo Lindgren, a former LNP senator who saw the light. She's an Indigenous woman, and I don't think she thinks the land was stolen. I'm also here tonight with my wife, Wendy, who I can't see, and I hope she hasn't chosen tonight to leave me. But I'm here because our nation, and Canberra in particular, faces a truth and a common sense deficit. We as a nation are facing some very, very big issues. We have a crisis of freedom of speech and freedom of religion, and we have a looming economic crisis, things that we should never have been facing as Australians. In relation to freedom of speech, we have toxic identity politics now, where we can't seem to disagree agreeably, and we've set up, mainly as through the left, an apparatus of human rights commissions, anti-discrimination tribunals, so that if you don't like what someone has said, whether you feel insulted or offended, you can take them off to one of these kangaroo courts. I don't think that's the Australian way, and since the redefinition of marriage in law, that has been weaponised, and people are finding all sorts of restrictions upon their freedom. I think that needs to change. We have an economic crisis that's brewing, and that's as a result of the rundown of our electricity generating capacity. In the last 6 years, we've seen 10 coal-fired power stations close down without their base load capacity. Well, that's great to applaud, but when the lights go out, as they did in Victoria for 200,000 homes, that's a real, real problem. I wish that windmills and solar panels could power an industrialised economy. They simply can't. In Europe, they're backed up by nuclear or coal, or Germany's closing its coal, but it's going to back it up with Russian gas. It's just not feasible. I think we need to be opening up our coal industry. I'm for Adani. I'm for ensuring that we are able to have an industrialised economy. If we were worried about emissions, then we would start a nuclear industry tomorrow. But I suspect that the reason why we can't is because those that are pushing for the close down of the coal industry and the agriculture industry really want a de-industrialised and depopulated Australia. And I don't think that suits any of us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're running for the Senate because we want to bring common sense back to Canberra. Either Scott Morrison or Bill Shorten will be elected Prime Minister on May 18. There will be a Senate crossbench. We don't have big hats, yellow billboards or red hair or conspiracy theories, but we do pledge to bring common sense back to Canberra, and we're urging you to take out third-party insurance in the Senate. Vote Australian Conservatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Lyle. almost right on time too. All right. Before we get to the questions from the audience, does anybody need a break? Does anybody want to get a drink, or should we just get right into it? Straight into it. Ruthless. Okay. I'm good. I left my Corona in the green room. I'm good. Do we have Cher Lindemann with us this evening? No? Okay. We've got a question submitted via Facebook. The government's handling of the ETS has caused a great deal of uproar from tens of thousands of Strati lovers and division amongst the residents. Thank you. Amongst the residents of North Stradbroke, the majority of whom do not support many elements of the ETS and do not want to see the island become more crowded and developed. If elected, will you enact some meaningful community engagement around a plan for Strati, rather than continue to simply seek to exploit this rare and precious ecological haven? And we're going to give this one to start to Shane Clark from the UAP.
I've yet to see where the state government is backing the people of North Stradbroke. The Greens and Labor ripped $140 million out of the local economy in Queensland. 60 million of that was North Stradbroke, 178 plus people out of a job. I haven't seen any economic development going into North Stradbroke yet. I haven't seen the $20 million going over there to help the people of North Stradbroke. I've been across there a number of times, and as far as I'm aware, I'm the only person from any political party that has visited the island and made any contribution to it in relation to the way the people act or give me feedback. They don't like the master plan for Dunwich Harbour. They want an upgrade of the harbour, and they want some form of acknowledgement from the political parties and start giving them some capacity to earn an income. I've been in contact and in discussions with people and businesses that want to move business entities over there purely because it's a remote area, so there's some sort of a tax deduction side of that. Like car registrations, we pay $780 a year on the mainland, they pay $350 a year over there. So until I'm still learning, I'm still studying, I'm a keen learner, I've got a lot of material to get through. I'm looking at different aspects of it. Is there a simple solution? No. But I'll give the council one thing with the council. They have a permit system where you have to apply for permits to operate tourism or whatever. That permit system is standard across the whole board. We should have a split permit system that relates to the remote area of the islands and one for the mainland. It can't be all the same. We've been hindered by too much red tape. So I'll work. If I get elected, I'll work on it. But I'm only a candidate. I don't have the solutions and I don't have the answers. We take it up with the state government. So
Thank you, Shane. I'm going to hand it over to Emerald now.
Yeah. Okay. The first thing I just wanted to address really quickly is I'm not sure how the Greens could have ripped anything from anywhere, given we haven't yet been in government at a state level in Queensland. But with regard to the problems on Strati, I went over to Strati last month, I believe, when there was a consultation session in relation to the Toondah Harbour development, and I have heard from, and I did then, and I continue to hear from so many Strati residents who feel as though the problem that they're experiencing is a lack of consultation, that governments are just simply proposing something first and then coming in and maybe asking for forgiveness, but even when they don't get it, they're going ahead with plans anyway. And so I guess the simple answer as to how I would stop that from happening is that we ban political donations from those industries that seek to buy influence. One of the key, I just wanted to point out that that session where the Toondah Harbour development was holding a consultation, at Dunwich, which really wasn't a consultation, but that developed